Lance Fisher, Thin Blue Light Audits. First, as a Marine, happy birthday and Semper Fi to my brothers and sisters that stood on those yellow footsteps. Also, happy Veterans Day to all those that currently serve, have served, and sacrificed for our country. Today, I renew my commitment as a retired deputy chief to expose the secrets that I know as a top leader in the law enforcement community. I was not surprised when the news broke of an agency-wide cheating scandal across the top leaders of Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. This could be any law enforcement agency in the United States. Hillsborough County is just the one that got caught. Much respect to Chief Chronister, who led the investigation and held his top officials accountable while openly accepting personal responsibilities for the shortcomings of his leaders. Before we begin, let me once again thank you all for your support for this channel. This channel is barely 3 weeks in and the support has been overwhelming. I do have members only perks now, so please hit that join button. Shout out to Staten 2033 and Tommy Merritt for being the first 2 members of the TBL community. For those that haven't subscribed, please do so. This community is growing and I really appreciate it. This channel was created after returning home from a Palm Bay City Council meeting because I was tired of the failed leadership of the Palm Bay Police Department and the failed accountability of the Palm Bay City leaders and city officials. Recently, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office completed an investigation into a cheating scandal that involved several top-ranked officials in their organization. I call these the Hillsborough Six. These are the 6 leaders that were caught in an academic cheating scandal. Deputy Chief Anthony Collins, Colonel Chris Rule, Colonel Michael Hannaford, Captain Marvin Johnson, Captain Stearns, and Captain Laura Rivera. Again, let's refer to them as the Hillsborough Six. This investigation started when the information was received that Chief Deputy Anthony Collins, who's the number 2 person in the organization, hired an individual named Robert Rouse to complete coursework while he attended the FBI National Academy. Remember, I was also a National Academy graduate. This 10-week leadership course is designed to host the top best of the best, according to the FBI National Academy Associates website. It boasts that FBI NA members make up the highest 1% of all senior law enforcement in the world. This award is so prestigious, many chiefs' positions posted throughout the United States require attendance to the FBI NA to even be able to apply, to be eligible to be the chief. FBI attendees further have the ability to attend classes that can be used towards master's degrees programs. This scandal has huge ramifications throughout the law enforcement profession now that even the best of the best have tarnished their badge in this prestigious program. So this investigation that effectively ended the law enforcement careers of 6 of the top officials in Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department started on July 19th of 2025 when the Sheriff's Department received an email outlining Collins' cheating scandal. Once the investigation was immediately initiated, he immediately resigned a few days later. So the investigation didn't stop with the resignation of Collins. It continued. And in that investigation, it was determined that Captain Laura Rivera also hired Rouse to write reports. She used him to write a report while she was attending and completing her captain's project. She resigned prior to an internal affairs investigation even was initiated. It was further determined that Colonel Michael Hannaford hired Rouse to complete his report for his captain's project. He resigned before the internal investigation was even finalized. Another Colonel Rule, he resigned during the internal investigation because he allegedly hired Rouse to write a research paper for a class with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Remember, these are top law enforcement leadership in Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department. So while the first 4 of the Hillsborough Six resigned before, during, or after the investigation, 2 individuals didn't get the memo. Captain Stearns was terminated at the conclusion of the investigation. She maintained she did nothing wrong throughout the investigation, and she simply maintained that she sent coursework for proofreading. Her coursework was related to the classes at the National Public Safety Innovation Academy, which is an 8-week course for law enforcement executives at Polk State College. The last member of our Hillsborough Six, Captain Marvin Johnson. He also was terminated at the conclusion of the investigation. It revealed that he used Rouse to write paperwork while he attended the Southern Police Institute. Reports from the investigation detailed that Johnson provided very little information during the investigation. So on October 27th, Hillsborough County Sheriff Chronister held a press conference. I found it interesting because he asked the public, he said, please don't condemn the individuals personally. While I do commend the sheriff for taking a swift and harsh approach to the investigation, leading to the termination or resignations of 6 of his top officials, I disagree that they shouldn't be personally judged. The community relies on its top law enforcement officials to be honest and trustworthy. These were not split-second decisions that were made under stress. These decisions were methodically made over extended periods of time, over and over, and should leave them open to personal scrutiny. They should be scrutinized. The sheriff highlighted that these individuals mentored countless of young deputies. Remember, mentoring can be good or bad, depending on the leader's professional traits. I'm not for sure if we want to let the public know that they also mentored other deputies who are following in their footsteps. I further disagree with his comments made at the press conference. The men and women of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office have earned this community's trust through the years of honorable service, and that trust will never be diminished by the mistakes of a few. Sheriff Chronister, you're fully aware that the community must hold law enforcement officers to the highest standards. They expect a profession that with one click of a handcuff takes people's rights away and liberties at every minute of every day. They have to be held to the highest standards. We have seen one officer's actions in one state diminish the community's trust in officers across this country. To insinuate that a few mistakes hasn't diminished the trust of the community they serve is laughable. These mistakes not only diminish the trust within your department, but departments throughout this country. When law enforcement officials, the top officials, can be trusted, who is the community supposed to turn to? So we've talked about this before. So when you have investigations such as this that are so widespread and involve many of your top leadership officials, I would almost always recommend an outside agency to ensure transparency. The sheriff, he gambled. He gambled by doing an internal investigation because he knows from the start he's either going to condemn those persons that he worked very closely with, or he's going to have to exonerate them and give the impression of a widespread cover-up. This is almost a lose-lose. But I'll be honest, I think he handled this one almost perfectly. He did a transparent investigation. He held those accountable. Those that didn't resign were terminated. There were some spin-off investigations that kind of indicated further misconduct within his ranks that he handled as well. And then he stood at the podium and he told the community what he learned. Now, I've already said I don't agree with some of his statements, but all in all, this is a job well done by the sheriff. But this is what will be interesting. Watching the long-term effects of these terminations and resignations, because we've spoken so many times about gypsy officers going from one agency to another. So it'll be interesting to see, will these leaders reappear somewhere else wearing a different badge under a different agency name? Will we see the local state attorney's office, will they place these individuals on the Brady list, effectively diminishing their ability to make arrests and testify in court? Remember, cheating, is that considered a moral character violation? I think we would all agree that it is. So with that being said, will the state's Criminal Justice Standards and Training Commission review their Florida law enforcement certificate? Will they hold them accountable with disciplinary actions? It'll be interesting because, again, these are top leadership officials. So let's not be fooled. This type of misconduct is not isolated to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. It can be found in departments all over this country, again, within the agency's top leaders. I saw this during my tenure at the Palm Beach Police Department. It was common for answer keys to the NCIC test, first aid test, IT cybersecurity quizzes, and other miscellaneous exams that would appear in our Power DMS courses to be passed from one person to another. A few answers would be changed to avoid suspicion, but these answer keys would go from office to office, person to person. I've even seen high liability proficiencies to include defensive tactics signed off without staff ever leaving the office, just sitting around a desk. This type of misconduct undermines the very nature of the law enforcement profession. It's when the top leaders refuse to even acknowledge these systematic problems that the community trust deteriorates. Remember, failed leadership at the highest levels, failed accountability for all. That's what I fight against. Once again, thank you to all the TBL supporters out there. We are growing at an alarming rate, and the top law enforcement officials have taken notice. We will continue exposing them from the inside out. Please subscribe, like, share, and if you want to fight alongside me, hit that join button. Thank you.